In this lesson, we're going to explore viruses. Now, a computer virus is simply made up of malicious code that's run on a machine without the user's knowledge, and this allows the code to infect the computer whenever it's been run. So, what does this look like out in the real world? Well, maybe you're going to download a new video game from a website, and when you download that installation file, inside of it, there may have been some malicious code. Now, whenever you run the program to install it, you're actually allowing the code to be installed on your machine, and that virus can now take hold. At this point, the virus is going to want to reproduce and spread across the network, and it does this because you have taken some kind of user action, and in this case, it was you installing the program and allowing that code to be run so that the virus can now start performing some malicious activities, including replicating across your network, deleting your critical files, and using up valuable computing resources within your systems. Now, there are 10 different types of viruses that you should be aware of, including boot sector, macro, program, multipartite, encrypted, polymorphic, metamorphic, stealth, armor, and hoax viruses. Now, first, we have a boot sector virus. A boot sector virus is one that is going to be stored in the first sector of a hard disk or solid-state device and is then loaded into memory whenever that computer boots up. These boot sector viruses are actually very difficult to detect because they're installed before your operating system boots up, and so it's able to hide itself from antivirus that you may have installed inside your Windows, Linux, or Mac computer. To find and remove these types of viruses, you do need to use an antivirus that specifically looks for boot sector viruses, and these usually are going to be run from a network antivirus scanning engine or from an antivirus that can be loaded from a Linux Live boot disk. Second, we have a macro virus. Now, macros are a form of code that allows a virus to be embedded inside another document, so that when that document is opened by the user, the virus will then be executed. The most common examples of macros are the ones that are found inside of Microsoft Word documents, Microsoft Excel spreadsheets, and Microsoft PowerPoint presentations. By default, macros themselves aren't actually malicious. In fact, macros are commonly used as a way for you to add specific functionality to your different documents, spreadsheets, and presentations without needing to create an entire program or application to do it. For example, I have a macro that I use inside of Microsoft Excel that allows me to do quicker calculations. Now, in my case, that piece of code works properly and is safe and secure to use. But just because we have the ability to add these codes to our Office documents, it also means that threat actors can add code to those documents too, including malicious code, into these types of documents, spreadsheets, and PowerPoints, and then try to trick a user into opening those documents by using social engineering techniques. Third, we have a program virus. Now, program viruses try to find executables or application files to infect with their malicious code. For example, if you accidentally opened a program virus while browsing the internet, it can try to install itself into one of your programs like Microsoft Word that's already installed on your computer. This way, every time you open up the infected application, in this case Microsoft Word, it will then infect your computer each and every time you open it up. This is why program viruses target programs or applications, because that virus can reinfect the system time after time anytime the user opens that compromised application. Fourth, we have a multipartite virus. Now, a multipartite virus is a combination of a boot sector type of virus and a program type of virus. By using this combination, the virus can actually place itself in the boot sector and then get loaded up every time the computer boots, just like a boot sector virus would. Now, once it's loaded up at boot time, it can then install itself within a program where it can be run every time the computer starts up, because that program is always started whenever the computer is booted up. Now, this allows a multipartite virus to maintain a persistence on your infected machine. And this way, even if a cybersecurity professional finds that program that's part of the virus and removes it from the system and cleans it out, they still may have missed the boot sector portion of that virus. And so the next time the user reboots their computer into Windows, that computer will get infected once more. Fifth, we have an encrypted virus. Now, an encrypted virus is designed to hide itself from being detected by encrypting its malicious code or payloads to avoid detection by any antivirus software. Since the antivirus providers are getting better and better all the time at understanding how viruses work, they actually can stop a lot of them a lot of the time from infecting our systems. But as the defenders get better, the attackers also get more creative in their infection methods. And so encrypted viruses make it harder for antivirus providers to find these types of viruses because the malicious code is scrambled into ciphertext and is unreadable to both the user and the antivirus software. Sixth, we have polymorphic viruses. Now, a polymorphic virus is an advanced version of an encrypted virus, but instead of just encrypting the contents, it's actually going to change the virus's code each time it's executed by altering the decryption module in order for it to evade detection. Now, I know this sounds really complicated, but what it's really trying to do here is morph the way the code looks so that its signature-based antivirus applications are not going to be able to detect it as being malicious. Seventh, we have a metamorphic virus. Now, metamorphic viruses are able to write itself entirely before it attempts to infect a given file. Essentially, this is a more advanced version of a polymorphic virus. Eighth, we have stealth viruses. Now, a stealth virus isn't necessarily a type of virus as much as a technique that's used to prevent viruses from being detected by antivirus software. Stealth viruses are using different techniques to avoid detection by an antivirus software, including things like encrypting its contents, modifying its payload, and other methods to avoid detection. Ninth, we have armored viruses. Now, armored viruses have a layer of protection that can fuse a program or a person who's trying to analyze it. This is yet another way that virus creators are trying to add in protections for their virus's code to increase their odds of being able to spread that virus to other users without being detected by your organization's security appliances or their antivirus scanners. The 10th and final virus we have is what's known as a hoax. Now, interestingly enough, a hoax technically isn't a virus, but instead it's a form of technical social engineering that attempts to scare our end users into taking some kind of undesirable action on their system. For example, you may have seen a message or a website that pops up and claims that it's a message from the Microsoft tech support team and that your machine has been infected by a virus or other type of malware. Then they'll give you a few steps to follow to remove that infection. Unfortunately, though, your computer was never actually infected in the first place when you got that message. But by following their actions, you actually will download and infect your computer with a virus. And this is what we're talking about when we talk about a virus hoax. Usually, a virus hoax is going to be used to make somebody think their computer is infected, but really, they're just trying to trick you into installing a virus on your system or to get you to pay them money to remove that supposed virus from your computer. Either way, though, you should remember that a hoax isn't really a virus and you don't have a virus infection on your system unless you actually follow the directions provided by that message or the pop-up, or you allow somebody else who's supposedly from tech support to remotely access your computer to provide virus remediation. Either way, this really is just a technical form of social engineering where the attacker is trying to trick you into giving them access or installing malicious programs on their behalf. So remember, a virus is simply made up of malicious code that's being run on a machine without the user's knowledge. This allows the code to infect the computer whenever it's been run, and there are 10 different types of viruses that you need to be aware of, including boot sector, macro, program, multipartite, encrypted, polymorphic, metamorphic, stealth, armor, and hoax viruses. Now, some modern viruses actually will combine multiple categories of these to create really powerful viruses, such as an encrypted, metamorphic, multipartite virus that is really going to grab a hold of your system and attempt to avoid detection by your security appliances and antivirus software. So you should be aware of this as well.